Well, of course, the slippery slope of just cancelling elections that are due to take place in just a few months obviously sets a very dangerous precedent. We saw council elections this year cancelled at just a few months' notice. We've now seen mayoral elections across England scheduled for next year, now pushed back till 2028. And we now know, of course, that around 63 areas have been asked by Labour whether they would like to postpone local elections. I didn't think that local politicians got to decide whether elections go ahead or not, but apparently that's how it works in Labour's Britain. By the way, this is a Labour Party that are so desperate now, they're talking about joining the EU customs union and, of course, giving huge amounts of money away as they fall to just 14% support in the latest polling. But things are getting even more sinister now, because I know many of you here on my channel have been asking, well, what about the general election? If Labour are miles behind in the polls, is there a chance they could try and delay, push back, give any sort of excuse to push back the general election? But watch this interview that was on Sky and let me know what you make of this response from the Labour chair as to the prospects of the general election potentially being delayed, being pushed back. I think this is pretty bizarre.
If I were interviewing somebody in Latin America or Africa and they said what you've just said to me, you'd already be saying banana republic, speechifying about the dangers of authoritarianism. If the government were to find that there was some complex reorganisation going on, for example, somebody might have pledged to get rid of the House of Lords and they might be deciding to do that in 2028. Might that be a reason to put off a general election in 2028-29?
No, we've still got a huge amount of elections coming up this year in Scotland, in Wales, all of London are out. We've got elections across the country. We've got a huge programme of elections coming up in May. So you can't...
You've given 63 local authorities the option to delay their election so they can stay in office for another year. It's probably rather cheap to say turkeys and Christmas and what are they going to choose. But really?
Well, the reality is we're moving to unitary council processes. There's a huge restructuring of local government, and it's really difficult for them to manage that alongside, running elections as well. So they're very clear with us that they want to have the time to do this properly. We're in discussion and debate with them, but the priority is we've got a huge programme of elections this May. But the reality is, while we're undertaking massive restructuring, as I said, the biggest in a generation, it's really important that we give councils the capacity to do this so they don't keel over.
All right, so just to be absolutely clear for viewers who are currently shouting at the television screen, even if things are difficult and there is reorganisation of Westminster, as I say, you promised to get rid of the House of Lords, there is going to be no delay on a general election.
We promised to get rid of hereditary peers, and we're undertaking that programme. So, that is ongoing. And, the general elections always come at the decision of the Prime Minister, and that's the reality of the process that we have in this country. And I'm looking forward to spending the next couple of years setting out our programme for reform and delivery for the country.
Yeah, there's an outer limit, which I think is January 2029 or something like that. And what I'm not hearing you saying is that this Labour government can't see any circumstances on which you would choose to do what you've done in local authorities, for local authorities, and delay a general election, which I've got to say, I'm finding surprising that you can't just say no general election will go beyond the 5-year term.
Well, of course the general election will come. The House of Lords aren't elected, so I'm a bit sort of confused as to why House of Lords reform would impact on a general election. So there's no change to a plan for a general election. But there is, of course, a lot of reorganisation going on at local government level. We've got